Welcome to Masters of Side Hustles, the podcast where we explore how to use powerful tactics to build businesses of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Zach Richardson. In each episode, I sit down with entrepreneurs to uncover how they've used these tactics to build successful businesses. In this episode, we sit down with Jeff and Carolyn Hennen. A few years ago, Jeff and Carolyn purchased a struggling microfiber business called The Rag Company that they intended to run as a side hustle. Much to their surprise, the business doubled or tripled its revenue year over year, and they were forced to leave their corporate management careers to run The Rag Company full-time. We'll learn about the people Jeff and Carolyn have found and relationships they've built to grow their business. But let's begin by first learning about their background.
I went to court reporting school, and then I realized it's really paper-driven and secretarial and no emotion, no connection. I didn't know that up front. Then I came home to work in my sister's nightclub to have a little fun after I graduated, and that's when I met Jeff.
Back in 1981.
We were professional musicians. We weren't famous, but we made a good living doing that. And the way we did that is like any other business. You represent your product well, and you're consistent, and you provide great customer service. And we found the more and more we did that, our pay increased. We kept getting better and better jobs. And we worked around each other 24/7 for 15 years. That was kind of a good preparation ground
for owning your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were doing the music, we went to school, got my accounting degree, and then went on to finish up a bachelor's in management information systems. Then I went on to become a project manager, IT project manager for Weyerhaeuser, Albertsons, Super Value, Blue Cross over the course of about the next 22 years, 23 years.
Jeff went back to school as soon as our first son, Dane, was born. We were still playing music and had babies, small children and things. And I thought, well, he can do it, I can do it. I thought music has been so much fun and unexpected that I chose very carefully the next career I wanted to go into. I kind of job shadowed in a lot of things because I thought, what do I want to wake up and go to every day? And what will keep progressing and be interesting. I ended up going to diagnostic ultrasound school, and I specialized in echocardiography, which is ultrasound on the heart. I spent over 20 years in healthcare. I worked at St. Luke's for almost 15 years, I think. And I ended up being the manager of the Treasure Valley echocardiography lab. So we took care of open heart surgery, cath lab, all the inpatient and outpatient services throughout the Treasure Valley. In my last year or so there, Jeff had already gotten his MBA, and we had picked the business up, which we thought was going to be kind of a side thing. I thought I would really benefit if I pursued my MBA as well. So I ended up going to the executive MBA program at Boise State. It was a great blessing that I chose that program because it was in person. We had great speakers, great professors, and a really wonderful international trip. And when I started the program, I was in St. Luke's with no intention of leaving. But halfway through the program, our business had been growing so much year over year that both Jeff and I had to leave our jobs. And with the background I got from that program, it helped give me the confidence to learn and do all the things that, we do now with international business, shipping, logistics, supply chain, all the financial pieces, all the creative pieces.
Jeff and Carolyn knew they wanted to put the entrepreneurial skills they acquired in their MBA program into practice. It just so happened they were introduced to the Rag Company.
It was actually a friend of a friend that owned the business. And sadly, the woman that started it back in 1999 was in hospice. Their kids were not interested in the business. They didn't have any friends or anybody else that was interested in the business because it was the rag company. What
Microfiber.
microfiber?
What's that?
It doesn't sound like a real big money maker. Especially out of your garage. Yeah, but she had done very well, all things considered. She built quite the network. She was 70 years old. Her husband was 70. He had a heart condition. She was in hospice. They were not up to running a business that could grow.
But even, at her age, she had a basic website. When we were investigating and researching the business, we couldn't see the customers because they were all in paper files in 2 big desks. Her husband was the accountant. The numbers didn't look great. We investigated. We thought this would be really interesting and cool, and we started researching like crazy about microfiber to understand what we were getting into. Dane, Jeff, and I all went and kind of assessed everything, the books, the inventory, and we thought, wow.
It's actually a fairly good opportunity, at least to exercise some of these things that we'd learned. We're not going to lose. Maybe we make some money. We spent the first year after we purchased the business just trying to figure out, what did we buy? And microfiber was evolving in the workplace. It was kind of groundbreaking as far as what it could do for cleaning, janitorial, and auto detailing, for facial, for spa. They were kind of evolving. It was still in its infancy, but the material itself functions so uniquely compared to cotton and other materials that the upside and the potential was huge. We just didn't realize quite how huge. And about a year and a half after we purchased it, some of our products started to go viral. I mean, it was a true overnight. A gentleman released a video promoting one of our products. He had a fairly faithful, large following, and next thing we knew, overnight, we did more, I think, the next week than we had done in the previous 3 months. We were already growing. The good news was we were already growing. The conjunction of our growth and then getting that kind of a quick adrenaline boost just really helped us take off and start making decisions about maybe there's more to this than we realized.
And back in the early days, our oldest son, Dane, was the one willing to run the business out of our garage. He had 2 jobs, and he left those jobs, and we couldn't have done that without him because we stayed in our jobs. That kind of helped give us the security and confidence in those early moves. I remember the first time we sent out like $50,000 for a container, and we're like, oh my God, I hope there's real products when it comes back.
Well, we heard horror stories where businesses had bought container loads of goods, and they opened the doors and they either found it empty or there's garbage inside. And the business that they had purchased everything from no longer existed.
Finding the right manufacturing partners is one of the most difficult and risky parts of any physical goods business. Jeff and Carolyn were fortunate the founder of the rag company had established good relationships with long-term partners abroad. Still, the growth they were experiencing was unprecedented in the company's history, and the most important thing was to maintain quality while fulfilling orders on time. Let's learn how Jeff and Carolyn have managed to foster successful relationships with their manufacturers.
That one is a very long-term play as far as building the relationships with the suppliers, with the factories, especially in foreign countries. You've got to establish the trust because you have to look at it from their perspective as well. They don't know you, especially when we took over ownership of the business. They didn't know us. And we've had some very long-term partners that have been with the rag company supplying products since 1999. So almost 20 years. They want to know, are you financially solvent? Are you able to pay your bills? And then, are you a long-term customer? Is this a quick hit? Are you just in and out for the products? For them, having those long-term relationships are extremely important. As a result, we get outstanding products because they want to continue that relationship. we're always first in line. When there's a new material, a new product, a new weave, a new type of making something, they'll come to us first because they know we're willing to take risks. And so we're like the ideal customer for them.
I have to interject one thing. From what we understand, most companies have a person in the company that travels to the factory several times in the year, once a month or whatever, to check on quality. And up to this point, we haven't done that yet. We do plan to do that. But Jeff is such a strong communicator through email, and sometimes we Skype. I've got to say, because of his persistence and clarity, he has pushed, and it's a constant thing that you have to do to stay on the quality, because sometimes you'll have great batches and then something will slip up. And if you don't speak up and let them know exactly what needs to be corrected, they'll keep doing the same thing over and over because they don't realize. But because of his endless hours of persistence and clear communication, he has pushed them and driven quality. Without him doing that, I don't think we would have the level of quality that we do.
Well, thank you. It's definitely been an educational opportunity all the way around. This was one of our early learnings, Chinese New Year.
Oh, jeez.
What happens in China is that the New Year is a time to go home. Well, you have all the aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody all together, and then they will talk amongst one another, and they'll say, "Oh, why are you there? We have better benefits and better working conditions and better products and whatever over here." And so you'll see this migration. If things are clicking, we're trying to crank out as much product before New Year's as possible, because what happens is when they all come back from the New Year's break, which depending upon what kind of an industry or where they are, it could range anywhere from 1 week to 3 or 4 weeks. By the time you get your full complement of employees back in and production is back up to full tilt, you never know who all is coming back. And so we try to be very cautious with those first few batches. We fly stuff in constantly as we get new batches made. We want to make sure that the quality meets our requirements and our standards. This is not a vertical industry because you have the yarn manufacturers and the dye factories and all this. You've got all these different players, and it takes a few months to get back into the grind again. So realistically, there's like a 3 to 4 month impact to where things are somewhat of a jumbled mess because you're trying to get your orders in and get production happening, get them on a ship and get them out of town before the town shuts down. We've got millions of towels right now on back order. We can't get them in here fast enough. We're trying to get the containers more and more, but it's all capacity all the way around. We've added another warehouse. We're actually trying to add 2 warehouses altogether. This has been a fun ride. For all
very unexpected.
Very unexpected. And for us, it's an opportunity for us to be able to get ourselves and our team, our whole business, in a position that we never could have imagined. And this is not just about Carolyn and I. This is really us and our whole business and being able to share, 1, the experience, and 2, the positive side. I mean, if we're making money off of it, everybody gets to make money off of it.
The original founder of the rag company made numerous connections to grow her customer base. One of the industries that accounted for a large percent of her sales was the auto detailing industry. She even acquired Tesla as a customer before most people knew what Tesla was. Jeff and Carolyn's son Dane is a car enthusiast, so this really piqued his interest. He was also a talented videographer and social media expert. Dane thought there might be opportunity to accelerate growth using these 2 mediums.
He was pushing at it much harder probably than we would have, because for our generation, you might go old school on some of that stuff, and that would have been absolutely the wrong decision. I got to give credit where it's due. Dane was big push to really seek out some of these things, and he was very patient. An example of that would be Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
We never heard of Reddit. I didn't know what Reddit was. And then when he explained it's like the world's largest forum, and there's a topic for everybody on every topic.
And it's free.
And what he did, he kind of took a unique approach. And he asked if we were okay, if he spent his time doing this. I thought, well, okay, we're all kind of learning, go for it. But what he did, he just kind of stayed on the sidelines And number one, Reddit does not care for vendors who are pushy. Vendors have a place in Reddit, but it's not at the forefront. People have comments, questions, issues, things they want to get answered. And a lot of that is building the trust. And that's what he did. He just answered questions. And honestly, if a competitor has a product that can do something maybe a little bit differently than what ours does, and it does it for what that particular customer was looking for, he was open, and people kind of respected that. That it's like, okay, this guy is not just shilling his products. He's giving honest answers about microfiber and the microfiber world and the options and the different qualities and characteristics that make each towel unique. We have over 150 different kinds of microfiber products in our lineup. So he was just trying to feed information, help people understand. And about a year later, that trust started to get rewarded, and we became one of the top vendors in the auto detailing space on Reddit. And I think when he was starting to do that, there was maybe 10,000 users or so that are auto detailers on the forum at that time. In the past month and a half now, I think there's 105,000 detailers on there. And we're one of the top trusted vendors in that site. That's been a great avenue because we always took it from the side of we're going to answer people's questions. If people want to buy our products, that's great. That's up to them. We give discounts. We're going to help them find the things they need. But the bottom line is we can be a trusted source of information and answering people's questions. Over the course of all those years, that trust has rewarded us, come back manyfold.
Manyfold. Well, and it's also interesting too, because there are some other people that sell things on Reddit. They'll say, oh, mine's the best. It's much better than X, Y, and Z brand. You know, if they happen to say something about the rag company, at first we were like, oh my gosh, someone said something negative.
You take it personal.
Yeah. And what we found out is we just don't respond because all of the other users will and set them straight. When you build the trust and you provide the good quality, then people do stand behind you. That speaks volumes.
As the rag company has grown, Jeff and Carolyn have needed to hire employees. Finding the right people proved critical. First, they found the right partner to manage the legal side of their workforce, a professional employer organization called Ataraxis. Partnering with Ataraxis has allowed them to add employee benefits such as insurance and retirement plans to attract great people. In terms of identifying the right people, Jeff and Carolyn look for people with a growth mindset who will do high-quality work in any task they perform.
Early on, we just had family and friends. We had a lot of the boys' friends from college working for us. But as we began to grow and we really needed productivity and, we were flexible, people were coming and going, we began to realize, okay, we need to really hire people that could be with us full time. We actually found a great company that we partner HR with, and they're called Ataraxis. And they're here locally in Boise, and they've been fantastic to work with. They're kind of our legal HR department. We still do all the hiring and relieving of duty if necessary, but they do our payroll, they do all the legal paperwork, all those kind of things. We started out with Dane as one, and now I think we're at about 22. A lot of times we would run across a person, we'd observe them working someplace, and we think, boy, that person really has a lot of characteristics that would help us out. That's how we found our general operations manager. And he is fantastic. John makes our business spin. So we've been really fortunate with that, and Dane's background in video and his passion for that. So we've grown our marketing team that way. A lot of times, word of mouth, people that know us will recommend or be looking for work, but we're very, very careful about who we choose because the chemistry is really important. It's really important to us that we have people that care about what they do. We found that there are a lot of people just looking for a job, just want to come in, clock out, and those are not the kind of people that we need here. So we source very carefully and find people that care about doing quality, whether it's checking the quality on a towel or checking the quality on a podcast. We have worked out to have a really, really good team. We've got a strong team from the front lines all the way up to the social media. We feel really fortunate. One thing that I have definitely learned, when you're in a larger organization, there's lots of rules and regulations and processes that you need to do and documentation that you need to do for when people do things well and when they don't. So we still document here, but we're able to make decisions much quicker. And if ever there's someone who works for a while and then it appears they don't want to be here, then we're able to change their direction and release them into the industry so they can find something they really like to do. It's very nice to be able to come into a work environment where people want to come in each day. Folding towels and packing towels is not the most exciting thing in the world, but we try to make the environment really good. It's open, we're receptive, there's interesting conversations. We tap into people's creativity and their ideas for the workflow and processes and how to improve things. So they feel like they're a valued member of the team.
You talked early about establishing the culture, and you cannot emphasize that one enough, that early on we decided what kind of a culture do we want to establish. And as we went through each new hire, one, we were looking for a fit to that, and then also fit with others, what kind of skills they bring in. What we've been able to do with several of our employees is we brought them into, say, a packing position, and then they evolved through the organization, and now they've got leadership positions in different areas of expertise we weren't necessarily aware of that they had in previous jobs, and we're able to leverage that. And it's something that they enjoyed and they love doing. And there's many things at play there because, one, they feel a solid part of the organization, that they've been able to grow into it. Two, they are able to, on a daily basis, exercise the skills that they have and grow them. We support that. We want them to grow those. And it's worked out really, really well. And one thing we've been trying to do is more of that blanket approach to help all employees, is to grow our benefits package. That's been a really positive one. We just kind of slowly chipped at it away. When we added Ataraxis as our HR partner, it brought on like vision, the availability of vision and dental and life insurance and a few other things. Then last year we added healthcare benefits, and right now we just added a 401k match. And we're trying to have the full package here.
In the larger organizations that we came from, we had those benefits and opportunities. It was always kind of a goal of ours to be able to, even though we're a small business, be able to take care of our team. It was really an important goal for us to do that. So we feel really good, and I think the people value that. And that also helps draw in good team members as well.
It's been a great step for us. So many, many positive things.
In this episode, we spoke with Jeff and Carolyn Hennen about how they have found the right manufacturing partners, the right customers, and the right employees to double or triple the rag company's revenue year over year. In the next episode, we sit down with Tessa Rizvi, a special needs instructor who discovered a new passion as a voiceover artist. In less than a year, her voiceover career went from a side hustle to a full-time job. And now she counts Fortune 500 companies as clients.